No.
Our objective for today: can derive the quadratic formula by completing the square. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. So the word derive means to obtain or to develop a concept from something. So yesterday's lesson showed us how to memorize or how to have in our noodle the quadratic formula. Today we're going to develop the quadratic formula from somewhere. So tomorrow, as you walk in, this is what's going to happen. You're going to walk in. I'm going to say to your desk. I'm going to give you a blank screen. A blank sheet of paper like this, and I'm going to say write your name, date, period on it, and everything that I show you right now, you have to know from memory.
Yay.
Okay. Here we go. I would say that's a yes. All right. Here it goes. So I can derive the quadratic formula by completing the square. Now, completing the square is a process that we used last night's home play. Hopefully, you used completing the square for one of those solving quadratic equations. Is that correct? Okay, good. Well, at least, those of you that did the home play. All right? All right. So we don't need a fair model. We're going to get started right away. So I want you to write deriving the quadratic formula. Deriving the quadratic formula. Let me zoom in. Deriving the quadratic formula. All right? So at this point, I'm going to start going through the process. I need you guys to put your writing utensils down. Stay focused when I ask questions, just so that I can get your noodle closer to where I want us to be. But don't copy anything until I ask you to copy. Stay focused, please. Yes? All right, here we go. Please, pretty please, stay focused. Please. Please, pretty please. And writing utensils down. Do not grab your pencil or your writing utensil. Leave it on the side. Got it, Danny? Good? All right, here we go. Look up to the screen. To start deriving the quadratic formula, I need something to get started. That's something I gave you yesterday, and it's called, and like any quadratic equation to solve, my first step is to have it in what? You're saying, but I don't have anything, Mr. Q. Okay, but do you know a generic quadratic equation? Yes, we wrote it yesterday. AX squared plus BX plus C equals Y. So, if you notice, from here on, where you don't have any more numbers, this is all variables. Okay, here we go. However, we know processes already that are in our noodle. In order for me to continue solving, what needs to be true? Y has to be what?
0.
0. That is correct. So I write AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. Now I can start using the completing the square process. Here it goes. Step 2. Step 2, I need to divide by the leading coefficient. By looking at this, my leading coefficient is A. So I need to divide everything by A. So I'm left with X squared plus B over A, X plus C over A equals 0 divided by A is 0. I'm done with step 2. Step 3. Step 3 tells me that I need to eliminate constants. You guys remember that? But what is my constant now? C over A, which means I need to subtract C over A, subtract C over A. That leaves me with X squared plus B over AX. I'm going to leave an empty space for completing the square. And for right now, I'm going to leave also an empty space here and write this one over here on the side. Over minus C over A. Are we there so far? And why did I leave the space? Because now I'm going to complete the square with the next step. But before I go to the next step, copy that, please. Okay? So this next part is step 4. Writing utensils down, please. You'll finish copying in a little bit. Okay. So step 1, standard form equal to 0. Step 2, divide by the leading coefficient, which was a. Step 3, eliminate the constant, which was c over a. So I subtract c over a to each side, and I have an empty space here and here. Step 4, for completing the square, is add b over 2 squared. Let me zoom in. All right. I need to add b over 2 squared. But instead of b, what do I have now? B over a. So now I'm going to write b over a. But I can't write that over 2. So instead of writing over 2, I'm going to write what? Divided by 2 squared. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Pay attention, I'm still not done. I'll let you copy in a little bit. Focus. Now that I did that, I'm going to simplify this parentheses till I no longer have a parenthesis. So watch. If I have a fraction divided by a whole number, that means I need to make the whole number over 1. So if that's true, then that means this becomes b over a times what? 1 over 2. You do the reciprocal. You guys remember that? Yeah, because that's how you do fractions. The reciprocal of the second fraction, and you multiply. Squared. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other, times 1/2 squared. Am I done simplifying this? No. What is b times 1? b. What is a times 2? 2a, and all that to the second power. b over 2a, and all that to the second power. I still have the parentheses. So what is b to the second power? B squared. What is 2a to the second power? 4a squared. So this is b squared over 4a squared. Am I done getting rid of those parentheses? Yes. So now, since I did that 1, 2, 3 different steps, that means I need to bring these down. Imagine I bring them down 4 different steps. So I do this. X squared plus b over ax plus that equal to that minus what? C over a. What do I do it again? X squared plus b over ax plus this equal to that minus c over a. Notice that I'm just bringing it down, yes? And then do it again. X squared plus b over ax plus this equal to that minus c over a. Is everybody following up to right there? Why did I write it twice? Because this all the way down? Which 2 equations? Yeah, I'm simplifying all the way through. Copy that, please. That's step 4, and I'm still not done. I'm almost done with step 4. Copy that. All right. Let me recap what we've done so far. We started off by deriving the quadratic formula, and we wrote our standard form, which was ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. The standard form also implies that we need to make y equal to what? 0. So we brought this down. Step 2 was to divide by the leading coefficient. Divide by the leading coefficient, which was a, and we ended up with this. From there, we eliminate the constant. The constant was c over a, so we subtract c over a to each side. That left us with a gap right here and right here. Why did we have a space there? Because we're completing the square. Step 4 was adding b over 2 squared to each side. But now, in this equation, we don't have just a number or one variable. My b is actually a fraction. That's why I wrote b over a. And instead of putting that over 2, I wrote divided by 2 squared. And I do that to each side. And then from there, you simplify that all the way till you no longer have parentheses, and you bring everything down at each step. Are we there so far? Okay? All right. I'm still not done with step 4. Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. All right. Before I go to step 5, I'm going to analyze this. Look at this. Can I combine like terms here more? No. We're done with that. However, I'm going to focus on the right side. Okay, I'm going to this side of the equation. I'm going to zoom in. Look at this. We have how many fractions? 2. And they're doing what? Subtracting. So when we have 2 fractions and we're subtracting, what needs to be true? Common denominator. This one has an a, this one has 4a squared. That means for this one to become that, I need to multiply times what? 4a times 4a. Therefore, pay attention, here it goes. This one stays the same. B squared over 4a squared. This is, what is 4a times c? 4ac. What is 4a times a? 4a squared. Now we can actually write that as one fraction. What is my common denominator? 4a squared. And then I focus on the numerators. Aww. Can we combine this with that? No, they're 2 different variables, but can I write it out like this? Yes. B squared minus 4ac. Notice that I already combined these 2 into 1. Are we there? Since I did that, check this out. Since I did this, and I'm up to right here, guess what I'm going to do here with this? I'm going to bring it down. X squared plus b over ax plus b squared minus 4a squared equal to that. And since I got to this point, I'm going to do it again. X squared plus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared equal to that. And we're here. Are we there so far? Okay, copy that. So, I barely finished step 4 up to right there, yes? So let me go back to the top to see my process for completing the square. Did we do standard form and equal to 0? Yes. Did we divide by the leading coefficients? Yes. Did we eliminate the constant? Did we add b over 2 squared? Yes. All right. Check this out. Step number 5. Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. I'm right here. Step 4, we completed a square. Is that correct? What does that mean? That this is a perfect square. Yes? So, with that said, what would be my next step in completing the square? Who remembers what would be my next step? Tanner. Power Rangers, or using the shortcut, which is, what is one word that we use for that? Factor. We're going to factor. So that's step 5. Okay, here we go. Writing utensils down. You'll finish copying a little bit. I just want to make sure that you understand this part of the factor. Here it goes. So yes, I can use the Power Rangers to do the factoring here. But what do we know? That it's a perfect squared trinomial. What does that mean? That I'm going to use a shortcut. What's the shortcut? Square root of the first, x. Square root of the last. Let's see, what is square root of b squared? What is square root of 4a squared? 2a with the sign of the middle, plus, and we write that to the second power and bring down the rest. B squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Copy that. Let's go. I'm telling you. Good, right? Yeah, copy that. All right. So, now that we're here, we're almost done with the entire process. Let's see. Step 1, standard form, divide by leading coefficient, eliminate c, add b over 2 squared, factor, and now we're done to step 6. Let's see if it rings a bell. What was step 6? Remember that step 6 had 2 or 3 different steps, right? Okay. Step 6. Remember, look, and I'm going to go back to the bottom where we're at. Look at this. What does your noodle want to do at this point for step 6? That is correct. Square root. And then at the end, you solve for x. That's step 6. Okay. I'll show you right now. So that's step 6, square root and solve for x. All right, so I'm right here, writing utensils down. I'm going to do this next step. So pay attention. Here we go. Why do we do square root? Well, because we need to solve for x, which means I need to get rid of that. Is that correct? So therefore, square root, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. I'm just paying attention, writing utensils down. Here it goes. This cancels this. What do we have left? X plus b over 2a equals. Let's start with the denominator. What is 4a squared taking the square root? 2a. But we have a dilemma for the numerator because we have a negative 4. Is there such a thing as a negative square root?
No.
We can't take square roots of negative numbers, which means I cannot take the square root of the numerator. So what do? To indicate that I did it for the denominator, I'm going to put plus minus, but I'm going to indicate that I couldn't do it for this one by doing this. Square root of what? B squared minus 4ac. Okay, hold on. So, once again, I was able to take the square root of the denominator, but not the numerator, but I needed to indicate it, yes? Now, check this out. Watch. That was square root. Now I need to solve for x. To leave x by itself, what do I do here? Subtract b over 2a. Subtract b over 2a. So watch what I end up with. X equals, I have two fractions. Negative b over 2a. What is my second fraction? Plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Can I combine those two fractions? Because I have a common denominator, is that correct? So what is my new equation? X equals minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is my quadratic formula. Copy that, please. Let's go from the corner. Copy that, please. Go. All right. So, as you're finishing copying, here goes the process for, once again, completing the square. Let's see if we got the process in our noodle. Step 1, standard form, and y equal to 0. Step 2, divide by the leading coefficient. Step 3, eliminate the constant. Step 4, add b over 2 squared. Step 5, factor, and since it was a complete, perfect square, we did the square root shortcut, right? Step 6, we did the square root, and we solved for x, and what did we end up with? The quadratic formula. Now let's look at the entire process, what it looks like. Let's see. Let me zoom out. There it is. So coming up soon on my YouTube channel, I'm gonna have Q merch, and I'm gonna have a shirt like that. Bam! Let's go with bam. So like this. Oh no, like this. Bam. There you go. Okay, so check this out. Here goes the whole thing. This is what I'm gonna need from you tomorrow. Watch. Tomorrow, as you walk in, I'm gonna say clear desk. I'm gonna give you a blank sheet of paper that's gonna look like this. And I'm gonna say, all right, guys, you have 5 minutes to derive the quadratic formula. So all you're going to do from memory, you're going to write, what is the first thing we write? Deriving. No. No. You write what? Deriving the quadratic formula. Okay? So, since we need to develop that muscle memory, turn your paper over. I want you to write deriving the quadratic formula. We're going to do it again. From the corner. Okay, now this time, check this out. Guys, focus. This time, I'm going to write the step on the right side and have you do the step to see if your noodle kicks in. Ready? Here it goes. So you wrote deriving the quadratic formula. Step 1. Standard form. I want you to write what that step looks like. Ready, go. Focus. Should be just about done. Okay, you should have written ax squared plus bx plus c equals to y, and then you wrote it again, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Hands if you got that. It's always going to be like that. That's always going to be there's only one way of deriving, yes. For right now, that's what you're going to learn. Next, step 2. Divide by the LC. Do that step. Go. Don't say it out loud. Keep it to yourself. All right? You should have divided by A, and you ended up with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. Hands if you got that. Okay? Step 3. Eliminate the constant, or c. Do that step. Ready? Go. Don't be looking at your notes. Do this from memory, please. It's not going to do you any good if you were just looking at your notes and copying from your notes. All right? What was c? C over a. That means we need to subtract c over a to each side. Subtract c over a. This cancels. We're left with x squared plus b over ax, leave an empty space, equal empty space, minus c over a. Hands if you got that? Okay, good. Step 4, and this is the longest step. Ready? Here we go. Step 4, we need to add b over 2 squared. What I want you to do first, I want you to add here to each side a parentheses and see what you write. See if you got it right. Go. Just write the parentheses. Don't keep going further. Just do one step at a time. Let's see. Who did this? Add b over a divided by 2 squared. Add b over a divided by 2 squared. Hands if you got that. Okay. Now that we have that, let me zoom in. Focus. I want you to simplify these parentheses all the way till you have no parentheses. Okay? See if you can do that step by yourself. Go. And once you're done simplifying all the way, bring all the other stuff down every step of the way. Okay, let's see. The first parentheses that you should have done was parentheses b over a times 1/2 squared. B over a times 1/2 squared. Hands if you got that. Good. Next, this became b over 2a squared. b over 2a squared. Hands if you got that. Good. And then from there, to get rid of the parentheses, what is b to the second? b squared. What is 2a to the second? 4a squared. b squared over 4a squared. Hands if you got that. Okay. Try not to skip steps, right? Okay. So from there, I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to bring all the other stuff down every step of the way that I simplify. So I write x squared plus b over ax plus that equals that minus c over a. X squared plus b over ax plus that equals that minus c over a. X squared plus b over ax plus that equals that minus c over a. Hands if you got up to right there. Okay. Now check this out. This side is already simplified. This side is not. I'm going to zoom into this side. Look at this. We have a fraction minus another fraction. See what you can do that? 2 more steps to simplify that. Go. Yeah, it's three steps, right? Okay. And then you bring everything down once you have this side simplified. Let's see. You should have multiplied times 4a. Multiplied times 4a. That means we have b squared over 4a squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Hands if you got up to right there. And of course, the simplification, you write it as one fraction, 4a squared. And what's in the numerator? B squared minus 4ac. Hands if you got that. That is correct. And now we bring all the other stuff down every step. So I write x squared plus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared equals that. X squared plus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared equals that. All right. Next step. Step number 5. Factor. Look at it. We need to factor this. Let people think, please. How do we factor this trinomial? See if you can do that step by yourself. Go. Step 5, factor. All right. Who saw how to do the square root of the first? Which is what? X. Square root of the last. What is square root of b squared? B. What's square root of 4a squared? 2a. What's the sign of the middle? Plus, and all that squared, and that is equal to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Hands if you got that. Last step. We do 2 things, right? What is the last step? Square root and solve for x. So let's do that. Square root. I want you to do the square root first. Then I'll show you the step. Hurry up, please. Okay, here we go. Square root of this side. Square root of this side. This cancels this. You should have written x plus b over 2a equals plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and the denominator became what? 2a. Hands if you got that. All right. And last, we need to solve for x. What do? To leave x by itself, I do what? Subtract b over 2a. Subtract b over 2a. Finish it off. You should end up with 2 fractions. And then from there, simplify the fractions to 1 and get your quadratic formula. So let's see. You have two fractions like this, is that correct? And those two combine because they have a common denominator. So what did we end up with? X equals minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is my quadratic formula. All right, so check this out. Pay attention to how I want you to do this for home plate tonight. Listen to the instructions. You're going to get home, get a blank sheet of paper, and you're going to write, what is the first thing we write? Deriving the quadratic formula. Hold on. Pay attention, please. Next, you're going to get started with the first step. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. Continue till you get stuck. You're going to look at your notes. Oh, close your notes. Continue again. You're going to get stuck again. Look at your notes. Oh, close your notes. Continue till you finish. You're probably going to get stuck 2 or 3 times on the first try. Turn the paper over. You're going to do it again. Deriving the quadratic formula, ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. Do the whole thing. You're probably going to get stuck maybe 2 times. You're going to do a 3rd time on a separate sheet of paper. Guess what? You might get stuck once. But then you need to do 3 more completely from memory. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your studying. I'm uploading the video. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.